We are hearing SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM. Yesterday we heard how Virat Rupa is manifested and how demigods, they are connected with different organs or senses in the body. Gudam punksho vinirbhinam mitro lokesha avishat payu nam shena yenaso visargam pratipadyate. The evacuating channel separately became manifest, and the director named Mitra entered into it with partial organs of evacuation. Thus, the living entities are able to pass stool and urine. Everything is regulated by Supreme Lord through these different instruments, but everything is like a machine. Scientifically, everything is done, and it is described in Shastra how everything is working. Hasto asya vinirbhino indrah svarpatir avishat vartayang shena purusho yaya vritim prapadyate. Thereafter, when the hands of the gigantic form separately became manifested, Indra, the ruler of the heavenly planets, entered into them, and thus the living entity is able to transact business for his livelihood, or actions, that is karma, yes, vritim, activities are transact business for his livelihood. So this is all also regulated by the grace of Indra. Padau asya vinirbhinno lokesho Vishnu ravishat gatya swangshena purusho yaya prapyam prapadyate. Thereafter, the legs of the gigantic form separately became manifest, and the demigod named Vishnu, here it is written not the personality of Godhead, entered with partial movement. This helps the living entity move to his destination. Buddhim chasya vinirbhinam vagisho dishnyam avishat bodhenangshena bodhavyam pratipatir yato bhavet. When the intelligence of the gigantic form separately became manifest, Brahma, the Lord of the Vedas, entered into it with the partial power of understanding, and thus an object of understanding is experienced by the living entities. We are fully dependent, never independent. Hridayam chasya nirbhinnam chandrama dishnam avishat manasang shena yenaso vikriyam pratipadyate. After that, the heart of the gigantic form separately manifested itself, and into it entered the moon demigod with partial mental activity. Thus, the living entity can conduct his mental speculations. This also I remembered from Upanishads, that moon is connected with the mind, always, like sun with the eyes, and fire with speech, and action with Indra, all this. Jiva Goswami there wrote in Sandarbhas, when Jiva is bound by Maya, then by the mercy of Maya, not independently, all activities are, with the help of Maya, all activities are going on. Here Maya means all these different controlling deities and all this. And when Jiva is liberated under the control of Sarup Shakti, they're also not working independently. With the mercy of Sarup Shakti, we can serve Krishna. Atmanam chasya nirbhinam abhimano vishat padam karma nangshena yenaso kartavyam pratipadyate. Thereafter, the materialistic ego of the gigantic form separately manifested itself, and into it entered Rudra, the controller of false ego, with his own partial activities, by which the living entity transacts his objective actions. Here Sai Maharaj is telling, because you will find in his pranam mantra, Namayom Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine, Namaste Saraswate Deve, Gauravani Pracharine, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine. You will find in many places Sai Maharaj is refuting this Nirvisheshavad, Mayavad, all this, and Shunyavad, that is Buddhist. Here he is writing, the false ego of materialistic identity is controlled by the demigod Rudra, an incarnation of Lord Shiva. There are two aspects of Shiva. One is Sadashiva, is on the other side of Brahmajyoti, on the border to Vaikuntha. He is a pure devotee of Krishna. And this side, towards Maya, Rudra is manifest. That is avatar of Tamoguna, and he is in charge of false ego. Rudra is the incarnation of the Supreme Lord who controls the mode of ignorance within material nature. The activities of the false ego are based on the objective of the body and mind. Most persons conducted by the false ego are controlled by Lord Shiva. When one reaches a finer version of ignorance, he falsely thinks of himself as the Supreme Lord. That is Mayavad. Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahma. I am Supreme. Or Soham. Or Shivoham. All these they are chanting. Tattva Masi. The Shankaracharya made the false commentary of these verses in Upanishads. The egoistic conviction of the conditioned soul is the last snare of the illusory energy which controls the entire material world. All those who are averse to Krishna, they are under the influence of false ego. And then there are different degrees of how deep. So he's controlling that. Sattvam chasya vinirbhinnam mahan dishnam upavishat chittenang shena yenaso vigyanam pratipadyate. Thereafter, when his consciousness separately manifested itself, the total energy, Mahatattva, entered with his conscious part. Thus, the living entity is able to conceive specific knowledge, Vigyanam. Shirshno syadyaur dhara padbhyam kham naber udapadyata gunanam vritayo yeshu pratiyante suradaya. Thereafter, from the head of the gigantic form, the heavenly planets were manifested, and from his legs the earthly planets, and from his abdomen the sky separately manifested themselves. Within them the demigods and others also were manifested in terms of the modes of material nature. All these topics, they are more elaborately described in Upanishads, because there only this topic is there. Mostly about how material energy is working, and then something about Jiva Tattva, and Supreme Lord is only mentioned as Brahma or Atma or certain names, but no lila, no description, nam, roop, gun, name, form, attributes, not much. Some qualities mentioned there, that he is immortal, eternal, but not much lila, because mostly this point of matter is described, how everything is connected and is functioning under the supervision of Brahma or Atma. And as I told you, sometimes Supreme Lord is mentioned as prana, life of everything, or as akshara, one who is not changed. Otherwise everything is changing, but he's akshara. Or sometimes he's mentioned as Vaishvanara, maintainer, or sometimes like these different names, Akash, sky. So you have to understand when it refers to him, that is by the commentaries of realized souls we can understand, and in Vedanta Sutra. So here these topics are only in Bhagavatam, they are mentioned, but not much explicitly described, because Lila is described here more, but there is no Lila of Supreme Lord. Atyantikena satvena divam deva prapedire dharam raja svabhavena panayo ye chatan anu. The demigods, qualified by the super excellent quality of the mode of goodness, are situated in the heavenly planets, whereas the human beings, because of their nature in the mode of passion, live on the earth in company with their subordinates. Tartiyena svabhavena bhagavan nabi ashritaha ubhayor antaram vyoma ye rudra parshadam gana. Living entities who are associates of Rudra develop in the third mode of material nature or ignorance. They are situated in the sky between the earthly planets and the heavenly planets. That is, in the language of Upanishad, Antariksha, in between. There, Bur Loka, Bhuvar Loka, Swar Loka, Jan Loka, Tapaloka, all going up. And Antariksha is in between. Sometimes demigods, they have to take shelter of Antariksha when too much disturbed by demons. We find in Vaman Avatar, we will come. Demons, headed by Bali, they destroyed, so they had to take shelter of Antariksha. Then Aditi, mother, she prayed to her husband that I want my son should be reinstated, so then Vamandev appeared. So all these deities, means the demigods, they're controlling all these things, but there also you will find in Kena Upanishad. One time, demigods, they were victorious over demons. And they became very proud. They thought we won and we are very capable. Then, to crush their false pride, Supreme Lord appeared in the form of Yaksha. You will find this mentioned also in Javadharma. In the form of Yaksha, so no one knows who is this Yaksha. So first Indra sent Vayu, no, Agni, fire. You go and check who is this Yaksha. So he came there, he was asking, then he said, Yaksha said, and who are you? He said, I am Agni, I am fire. Then that Yaksha said, do you have any power? He said, yes, I can burn anything. Then that Yaksha, who was actually Supreme Lord, he put one dry straw of grass in front of him and he said, you burn this. And Agni tried his best but could not burn. Then he was surprised. He had no power. Then he returned back. He said, I don't know who is this Yaksha. Then Indra sent Vayu, wind. And same thing happened. Then Yaksha asked him, who are you? I'm wind. You have any power? Yes, I can move anything in this world. Okay, can you move this grass? He tried but failed. Could not do anything. Then finally, and other demigods also, they were coming, Varuna and others. Finally Indra came, but that time already Yaksha disappeared. Then he was confused. Then goddess Uma, wife of Shiva, appeared there in the sky, and he asked her, who was that Yaksha? Then she said, he's Brahma, means Supreme Lord. Then they understood, oh, by his power we can work, not independently. Like I told some days back, all the senses, they can work only when prana is present in the body. They are not independent. And prana is dependent on the jiva, and jiva is dependent on Supreme Lord. Everything is dependent on Supreme Lord. There it is clearly everything is mentioned, how everything is functioning. Mukhato vartata Brahma, you see Brahma is here. Purushasya kurudvaha yas tun mukhatvat varnanam mukyo bhut brahmano guru. Because Vedanta Sutra starts, atato Brahma jigyasa. Now there is time to start inquiry into Brahma. Not four-headed Brahma with long K, but Brahma, supreme or greatest. There you will find Baladevi Debushan is commenting. Thereafter, now it is time, means when one will come in contact with sadhu, satsanga. Then inquiry about eternal truth will start. Before that is only karma kanda. Our Gurudev also told, when one is fed up with karma kanda and understands that it is, one cannot be fulfilled by all those non-eternal things, when he understands this, then he can inquire into eternal truth, that is Brahma. Atato Brahma Jigyasa. And of course, you need contact with realized soul to start that inquiry. O chief of the Kuru dynasty, the Vedic wisdom became manifested from the mouth of the Virat, the gigantic form. Those who are inclined to this Vedic knowledge are called Brahmanas, and they are the natural teachers and spiritual masters of all the orders of society. Here Brahma meant Vedas, because Brahma and Veda, they are one and the same. So those who are inclined to Vedic knowledge, they are Brahmanas. Bahubhyo vartata kshatram kshatriyastat anuvrataha yo jata strayate varnam paurusha kantaka kshatat. Thereafter, the power of protection was generated from the arms of the gigantic Virat form, and in relation to such power, the Kshatriyas also came into existence by following the Kshatriya principle of protecting society from the disturbance of thieves and miscreants. Vishwavartanta tasyarvor loka vrittikarir vibho vaishyastatud bhavo vartam nrinam yah samavartayat. The means of livelihood of all persons, namely production of grains and their distribution to the prajas, was generated from the tithes of the Lord gigantic form. The mercantile men who take charge of such execution are called Vaishyas. Padbhyam Bhagavato Jagye Shushrusha Dharma Siddhe Tasyam Jatah Pura Shudro Yat Vritya Tushate Hari. Thereafter, service was manifested from the legs of the personality of Godhead for the sake of perfecting the religious function. Someone has to work, labor, class. Situated on the legs are the Shudras, who satisfy the Lord by service. You will find this sort of description in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. How Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras were manifested from that Virat Rupa and what is their function. Ete varnah swadharmena yajanti swagurum harim shradayatma vishuddhyartam yajatah saha vrittibhi. All these different social divisions are born with their occupational duties and living conditions from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, for unconditional life and self-realization, one has to worship the Supreme Lord under the direction of the spiritual master. Here is Shraddhaya Atma Vishuddhartam. First step is this Varna Ashram Dharma. Because we are conditioned souls and we misidentify with three gunas, so according to three gunas, nature, inclination, one has to act under the guidance of Vedic Shastra. And that is first step. Then gradually when he will be purified by following that, then he will offer the fruits to Supreme Lord. Then ultimately he will give up this false ego and give up also these occupational duties. And then that will be Gyan. Then he will do Jnana Mishra Bhakti mixed with devotion, and then pure devotion. That is Jnana Shunya Bhakti. Different stages, Rai Ramananda told to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But one can, if he has this good fortune to get in touch with realized soul, spiritual master, he can immediately start direct devotional service of Supreme Lord, because by his grace his eternal relation with Krishna will be awakened. But at that time he will start serving Krishna in these forums, Sadhu Sangha, Nama Kirtan, Bhagavat Shravan, Shri Murti, he will serve Diti, he will reside in holy place. This he will do. But at that time, he is not, in the beginning, he is not yet fully liberated. He is not situated on transcendental platform in Lila, in Goloka. So while staying in this world, for the sake of maintaining livelihood, for getting livelihood, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, it is best if he can follow Varna Ashram Dharma for this sake. That which is favorable for his maintenance, that he should accept. It will be more favorable, more easy to get money and not so much mental and body disturbance. And he will do Shravan Kirtan. So up to that point, he will only accept Varna Ashram duties, not everything. If there is anything unfavorable to his devotion, then he will not. Like those wives, they rejected husbands, although according to Varna Ashram Dharma they should not. But for the service of Krishna, they rejected their orders and directly served Krishna. So under the direction of the spiritual master, one has to worship Supreme Lord for unconditional life, means transcendental life. not conditioned by matter, and self-realization. Self-realization, we are eternal servant of Krishna. Etat kshatar bhagavato deva karmatma rupina kah shradhadyat upakartum jogamaya balodayam. O Vidur, who can estimate or measure the transcendental time, work, and potency of the gigantic form manifested by the internal potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? So this Virat Rupa is also manifested by Jogamaya. Tathapi kirtayam yanga yatha mati yatha shrutam kirtim harihsvam satkartum giram anya bidasatim. In spite of my inability, whatever I have been able to hear from the spiritual master and whatever I could assimilate, I am now describing in glorification of the Lord by pure speech, for otherwise my power of speaking would remain unchaste. If you speak some other topic, then is misuse of your speech. Our tongue, our speech is meant only to sing the glories of Krishna. Yes. Here, Sai Maharaj is commenting, the purification of the conditioned soul necessitates purification of his consciousness. By the presence of consciousness, the presence of the transcendental soul is verified, and as soon as consciousness leaves the body, the material body is not active. Consciousness is perceived, therefore, by activities. The qualities of jiva, or pure consciousness, they are thinking, feeling, willing. Willing means actions. When that leaves the body cannot do anything. Mind also cannot think nothing without the presence of Atma. The theory put forward by empiric philosophers that consciousness can remain in an inactive state is the proof of their poor fund of knowledge. One should not become unchaste by stopping the activities of pure consciousness. Unchaste, why? Because we are eternal servant of Krishna. So whether we do wrong activities or we don't want to do any activities, all is unchaste. Like if you are employed in some company, they give you car, they give you computer, they give you so many things. If you misuse that to do something which is not for the benefit of company, that is wrong. But if you don't use properly for the company, that is also unchaste. So here, if the activities of pure consciousness are stopped, certainly the conscious living force will be otherwise engaged. Because unless engaged, the consciousness has no standing. We cannot forever remain in marginal plane, that like a sleep. You will have to go this side or that side eventually. So those who come up to Brahma Jyoti, but they don't want to serve Krishna, after some time again they will fall down to this material world to do materialistic activities. Because Jiva cannot remain inactive. Consciousness cannot be silent, even for a moment. When the body does not act, the consciousness acts in the form of dreams. Unconsciousness is artificial. By induced extraneous help, it remains for a limited period, but when the intoxication of the drug is finished, or when one is awake, the consciousness again acts earnestly. Even you will find in Upanishad also, and Bhagavatam also later it will come. These three states, Jiva is always moving from wakeful state, when gross body is active, then in dreaming state, that time mental body is active, and deep sleep, when body and mind are inactive. That is like complete rest. That time you get in touch with Brahman, but because you are not liberated soul, eventually again you will have to come out to activity. So that is why here Sai Maharaj is telling, for limited period, like if you get intoxication or drug, you are unconscious. But the deep sleep is also unconsciousness of this, unconsciousness of matter, body and mind. But still consciousness is there. Because when you wake up, you say, oh, I slept well. So you were experiencing that time also. That is soul consciousness. When body and mind, you were not aware. But because there is no any other object to be seen, that is why nothing is seen there. So unless you turn towards Krishna and see him, you will have to again come down into this. Maitreya's statement is that in order to avoid unchaste conscious activities, he was trying to describe the unlimited glories of the Lord, although he did not have the ability to describe them perfectly. So we should not stop our singing the glories of Krishna. How much you heard, that much you should speak. Our Gurudev was always saying this. If you will not speak of Supreme Lord, then you will speak some other worldly things. Your tongue will not remain silent. And by that, your mind will go to worldly things. So you speak about Krishna, whatever you know. Something is better than nothing. But go on in this direction. What you heard, it is not necessary that you have to be fully perfect to start, to go on. No. Then you will never start that practice. Also, when I was trying to translate that book of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and I became discouraged after some time because some difficult points were there and I could not fully understand, not getting realization or how to express. So I became discouraged and I told Gurudev that I'm not sure exactly how I should translate this. But he was telling, no, you go on, you should not stop. Something is better than nothing, but go on. So you need not be fully perfect to do this devotional service of speaking about Krishna. Here he is telling, I could not perfectly, but at least I used my tongue to serve Krishna, not for other topics. This glorification of the Lord is not a product of research, but the result of hearing submissively from the authority of the spiritual master. So what we heard from Gurudev and from pure devotees and from bona fide Shastra, that we have to repeat. That will purify our mind. This is one kind of practice. It is also not possible to repeat all that one has heard from his spiritual master, but one can narrate as far as possible by one's honest endeavor. it does not matter whether the Lord's glories are fully explained or not. One must attempt to engage one's bodily, mental, and verbal activities in the transcendental glorification of the Lord. Otherwise, such activities will remain unchaste and impure. They will not sit idle. You will be engaged in other things, lower things. So that is not beneficial. So by praying the grace of Guru, Vaishnava Bhagavan, for the strength to engage in devotional service of Krishna, we should repeat what we have heard. That is one kind of sadhana. We should not do out of vanity. I am teacher, I know everything, I am guru, I am preacher, I am better than all. Not with that mood, but with the mood of devotional practice. Then that will be beneficial for us, for our eternal welfare, and for others also. Even if we are not perfect, but honestly doing devotional practice under the guidance of bona fide guru. The existence of the conditioned soul can be purified only by the method of engaging mind and speech in the service of the Lord. The Tridandi sannyasi of the Vaishnava school accepts 3 rods, representing the vow to engage in the service of the Lord with body, mind, and speech. Whereas the Ekadandi sannyasi takes the vow to become one with the Supreme. Since the Lord is the Absolute, there is no distinction between Him and His glories. The glories of the Lord as chanted by the Vaishnava sannyasi are as substantial as the Lord Himself. And thus, while glorifying the Lord, the devotee becomes one with Him in transcendental interest. Krishna has desire, and devotees, they are fulfilling that to satisfy Him. So they are one in interest. Although He remains eternally a transcendental servitor. This is real oneness, Kaivalya. Oneness with Supreme Lord. To serve His interest. This simultaneously one and different position of the devotee makes him eternally purified, and thus his life becomes a complete success. You will find in the pranam mantra of our Gurudev, Namaya Om Vishnu Padaya Shri Gaura Priya Murte Shrimate Bhakti Vallava Tirtha Goswami Namine Maya Vada Vikhandanam Gurur Banyanu Kirtanam Pascha Desha Vadesham Prasanam Vadanam Sada. This is similar to Sai Maharaja's pranam mantra. Maya Vada Vikhandanam means cutting, or yes, Vikhandana means cutting, refuting, cutting. Mayavad, how? Gurur Bani Anu Kirtanam. Gurur Bani Anu Kirtanam, if you separate. Guru Vani Anu Kirtanam. He is repeating what is Guru Vani, what he heard from his Gurudev. He is all the time in his shelter. Anu means in Anugatya, in shelter. Anukirtanam, repeating that. Or Anukirtana means continuously also. Speaking what he heard from his Gurudev. And in Swami Maharajas, you have Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine, speaking Gauravani, that is Guruvani, same thing. Teaching of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or teaching of Guru is same. And Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine. He is rescuing Western countries from this Nirvishesha and Shunyavad. That is Mayavad and Buddhism. And in our Gurudev's Pranamantra also, Mayavada Vikhandanam, cutting Mayavad, Guru Vani Anukirtanam, all the time speaking the glories of Supreme Lord, what he heard from Gurudev, and Pascha Desho Padeshakam Prasanna Vadam. He is also advising. Upadesh means advice or instruct. Upadesh is more advice-like, not like order. Order is adesh or agya. Upadesh is advice. Pascha desho padeshakam prasanna vadanam. Always with happy mood, he is advising. In Western countries also this. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teaching or Guru's teaching. So it's similar. Today it connected to me that this part is almost same. Only different words are used, but activity is the same. So Vaishnavas, by speaking the glories of Krishna, transcendental glories, real glories, eternal glories of Krishna, they are automatically cutting that Mayavad conception. The Jiva and Brahma, they are same. This world is false. No, that is wrong. So that can be removed only by proper kirtan of Nam Rup Gun Lila of Krishna with proper realization and conception. Mayavadis, they also will worship deity of Krishna, they will also chant Mahamantra, they will also sing songs, but with wrong conception. They think that is all material and it only helps our concentration. So that sort of conception should be removed by proper conception of Krishna, his name, form, attributes of eternal character. Ekanta labham vachaso nu pungsham sushloka mauler gunavadam ahuh shrutescha vidvad bhir upakritayam katha sudayam upasa prayoganam. No, upasam prayogam. The highest perfectional gain of humanity is to engage in discussions of the activities and glories of the pious actor. P capital and A capital, pious actor. Because here Sushloka Maulech Gunavadam. This word is here used for Supreme Lord. Sushloka Mauler. One whose activities are always pious, most pious. Pious actor. Such activities are so nicely arranged in writing by the greatly learned sages that the actual purpose of the air is served just by being near them. Like in Upanishad, you will find sometimes Supreme Lord is stated as Akash, sky. Because of his all-pervading nature, or prana, he's the life of everyone. Here also this word is used, pious actor. His activities are always auspicious for all. Mangalam Vishnu, Mangalam Madhusudanam. He's all good. Whatever is done by his will is for the benefit of all good. So if devotees, they will write or speak these glories, that is perfection of humanity, and this is by speaking about him, and others, they will hear this Harikatha. They will also get perfection, like Parikit Maharaj. That is perfection of air. Shukadev Goswami got perfection by Kirtan, speaking, Parikit Maharaj by hearing. That Gokarna, his brother also, just by hearing SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM attentively for 7 days, he got perfection. Others did not because they were not hearing properly. So they were complaining, why only one airplane came from Vaikuntha, only for Gokarna? We all heard Bhagavatam. Then the Vaikuntha Parshadas, they replied, yes, all were hearing, but their quality of hearing was not the same. Dundukari, brother of Gokarna, was very attentively hearing, and after hearing, when there was free time, rest time, he was thinking what he heard. Mananam. So that everything entered, and that is why he got full purification. But they did not, they were inattentively. Just today, because yesterday I got question about different stages or qualities of hearing or levels of hearing. So I remember that our Vishnu Maharaj spoke this one time, but I could not remember the full thing. Only I remember about the fish. That fish is very attentive in hearing, but not remembering. So today I asked him again, and he told me that in Skanda Puran, it is written in that chapter, in glorification of Bhagavatam, that there are 4 kinds of listeners and 4 kinds of speakers. So listeners are compared with animal, that chatak bird, which is only drinking rain from the sky, not any other water. He is the best hearer, one who is attentive only to Krishna Katha, Krishna Lila, not interested in anything, any other subject which is presented, never. Then next one is Swan. He will hear, but he knows how to discriminate between what is essential and what is not. He will reject that. Because Swan has that capacity to separate mixture of milk and water. He can separate milk. He can only take milk and reject the water. Only Swan has that capacity as animal, no one else. If you mix milk and water together, he can do that by God's will. He has such nature. So they will accept the essence. Then parrot, he will hear everything and repeat everything. What he heard, he will repeat. And fish will hear very attentively, not moving eyes, but cannot repeat because cannot retain by hearing everything. And then there is, I forgot one animal. That hearer, he will come to Harikatha, but he will not pay attention to Harikatha, but he will see how the place is clean or not, or decorated, and which devotees came, and how is this. He will see the surroundings. His attention will be on that thing. He cannot put his ear to Harikatha. Another is one animal from Himalaya having 6 feet. He's such hearer that in between Harikatha he will speak something and disturb the Harikatha and other listeners. He will assert himself, always try to speak. I saw some devotees, in between they will always want to interrupt and they will want to show how much they know. They want to speak something. Then another is bull. Whatever you give to bull, he will eat. He cannot discriminate what is to be eaten, what is not to be eaten. He will think everything is good. Like that, he will hear everything and he will say, yes, karma is good, jnana is good, bhakti is good, that is good, mayavat is good, everything is good. He will accept in this way, everything is good. No capacity to discriminate what is what. And camel will always get wrong taste. Camel will want to drink from the thorny trees or cactus, she will want to take the juice of that tree, but will bite that thorn or that spike, and blood will come from her tongue, and she will drink that blood and thinking, oh, this is nectar. This is the nectar of the tree, but it is not. It is another thing. Like that type of listener, he will not pay attention to the essence of Harikatha, but to other, whether language is properly spoken or these external things, a speaker is sitting straight or what he's doing with his fingers. They will pay attention on these things, not to Harikatha, so they cannot get actual taste. They will only, these external things, they will try to pay attention to this, so they will not get the real taste. And there are 4 speakers, one who is influenced by Satya Guna, has some desire, and Rajaguna has also desire, and Tamaguna also has desire, and they will speak also in different pace. But Nirguna speaker is the best, one who has no other desire. His target is only to satisfy Krishna. He will speak for the satisfaction of Krishna. This is in short. There are more details in Skanda Puran given. So here we hear in Bhagavatam that highest perfectional gain is to speak the glories of pious actor, means of Supreme Lord. And the actual purpose of air, why we got it, is to hear these glories. In this way we can be purified, we can attain the ultimate goal of life. Tomorrow we will further hear